We return to Tucker. Tucker, there he is. Ooh, slow down. Interesting. Even more spooky. Halloween. I did it again. Sorry. And I saw that someone on X had a text exchange with Tucker that they leaked. Richard Hanania. And this is something else. So let me just read what Richard posted. Reminder of the time Tucker texted me after I pointed out he was spreading Russian disinformation about Ukrainian weapons being sold on the internet. I asked him for evidence for his views, and you can see how it went. This is the person Kevin Roberts thinks contributes to debate. Need to have an open dialogue. He is such a valuable voice, a modern Socrates with a passion for the search for knowledge, etc. Okay, so Tucker posted this to Richard after, I guess, he was fact-checking Tucker on X. It's shocking to me that why do you have Tucker's number? No, it's shocking to me that you'd assert something like this as fact, when in fact you have no idea. The Ukrainian military has sold huge quantities of NATO weapons over the past 3 years. I know someone who's bought them. This is all well known outside the United States because you understand the world through social media. You're completely ignorant. Please show some humility and stop weighing in on things you know nothing about. In response to a tweet that said by Richard, they have not been. If you think they have, your media diet is trash and you need to get completely new sources of news. So, I mean, Tucker at any chance is perpetuating Russian talking points. And this was one of those cases that Richard was fact checking. So when Tucker goes, "You're a moron, shut up," what's the rational response? You go, "Okay, could you provide the evidence and I'll correct it," which is exactly what Richard did. Where's your evidence? Show it to me and I'll issue a correction. Great. Response from Tucker? You're a child. When was the last time you traveled outside the United States? You could just send evidence. That's all it would take. Just send evidence. So then Richard said, "So I'll take that to mean you don't have a credible source." And then I guess Tucker didn't respond. Oof, Tucker, oof. And this is a story that I think we need to circle back to because we're doing a lot of Tucker content lately, and I don't want us to move on from who he is in his sucking up to the Russian government. You remember this?
What was radicalizing, very shocking and very disturbing for me was the city of Moscow, where I'd never been, the biggest city in Europe, 13 million people. And it is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea. My father spent a lot of time there in the 80s when he worked for the US government and barely had electricity. And now it is so much cleaner and safer and prettier aesthetically. Its architecture, its food, its service, than any country, city in the United States that you have to, and this is non-ideological. How did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life. And if you can't use your subway, for example, as many people are afraid to in New York City because it's too dangerous, you have to sort of wonder.
I don't know how Tucker ever recovered from this. I don't know how he ever recovered from being brought on a Kremlin-facilitated trip where they take him to their nicest hotel and he gets to see, yeah, that's what authoritarian regimes do. Their capital will be dope, to use a phrase. And then the average Russian's quality of living will be horrible. And he got taken to their little PR. Just like here, you could go, I mean, there's plenty of problems in America, and you could be brought to very specific places that will be, wow. And to then run around with no understanding of what even he was talking about. And then he's accusing others of ignorance is something else. You remember this?
You think it's a joke?
Why do I care? Why do I care what's going on in the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? And I'm serious. Like, why do I care?
I'll tell you why.
And why shouldn't I root for Russia, which I am?
You think?
Think about that. I'm watching as Tucker continues to get more and more
radicalized
support after leaving Fox. Number one, he doesn't know that much, and he'll admit that. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, in the last few years, I've realized that my entire career I was almost wrong about everything." Yeah, But, now I'm right, I guess. But I don't know. I try not to lie most of the time. And I don't know why people find him to be such a compelling voice. You remember this? Going to a Russian grocery store?
Corruption. If you take people's standard of living and you tank it through filth and crime and inflation, and they literally can't buy the groceries they want, at that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. You're wrecking people's lives in their country, and that's what our leaders have done to us. And coming to a Russian grocery store, the heart of evil, and seeing what things cost and how people live, it will radicalize you against our leaders. That's how I feel anyway, radicalized. We're not making any of this up, by the way, at all.
Inflation right now is skyrocketing in Russia. It's funny he specifically mentioned inflation, in part because of Putin's obsession with massacring Ukrainians and continuing this war, even if it hurts his own economy. And then one of the things that he kept getting community noted with was him thinking, see, things are great in Russia because it was really cheap for me.
I went from amused to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody hears from the United States buys groceries, and we didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week. And we all came in around $400, about $400. It was $104 US here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought, corruption.
And then on to the other clip. And so then a bunch of community notes had to flood in. Added context needed to understand international price differences. The average wage in Russia is 73,000 rubles per month, which is $791 USD with today's exchange rate. Over 60% of Russians spend half of their salary on food. Over 60% of Russians spend half their salary on food, according to Russia's own state-owned agency. So yeah, because you happen to be a little rich boy, but even regular earning Americans are going to feel like their dollar goes a whole heck of a lot further in a place where people make a whole heck of a lot less money. But Tucker gets the struggle. So I shouldn't accuse him of being a rich boy, because as we saw, he is practically poor.
I don't understand it because it makes no sense. Like, you're worth $50 million.
I'm not worth $50 million.
30 to 50.
Get off the fucking internet, son. Don't stop believing that stuff.
Oh.
$50 million?
Go back to cable news.
Sorry.
No, but I'm just, look, okay.
Okay, you're too annoying. So I like the last chick who disagreed with me, and then we could have a normal conversation.
All right.
But you're telling me you're worth $50 million. What? Stop.
Okay, you got real defensive there. I just thread a number that's a lot of money. Jesus Christ, calm down.
Don't use that phrase.
You're worth.
We're done.
What did we see? He made $20 million or something a year on Fox. Where did it all go? I think I know, actually. I think I know where it all went. Because again, if you make $20 million, it would track. And you worked at Fox a long time. And it wasn't always that, but it got up to, it would track that you would be able to get fit. And then also his family's rich. But I think the problem is that he just spent it all on milk. He said, we got just what we would eat over, what did he say, a week? Over 1 week. And got, what is that? 2 gallons of milk? I think that's where all your wealth went. Unbelievable. I don't want us to move past that. So many people are mainstreaming him. And again, as I said in a different case, if he says something, because this is what got a lot of people who normally aren't as wacky to go, oh, maybe Tucker's all right. If he says something you agree with on a particular issue, his foundation of his ideology being whacked matters. So it's fine, like we did. Oh, Tucker spoke out against Trump on this thing, and that's good. But maybe he's actually much more reasonable than I thought. He was willing to be a propagandist for a massacring regime. So much so that he humiliated himself with no economic literacy on this trip, all in the service of Putin's lies. Let's not just move past that. That's why I want to do this segment today, because I'm seeing a lot of people just move past that. That matters about who he is as a person. And him here and there saying something that you like does not erase that. Truly, he's a pitiful human being who, right when I got back from Ukraine, I saw on an actual independent journalistic endeavor, Tucker, where it wasn't all perfectly manufactured for me by the government. None of it was. And actually, I probably broke some rules going where I did. And the second I get back, he's out there talking about how Putin is a much better person than Biden. And how Putin's been much better for Russia and the world. He's sick. He's a sick person. So I want us to keep that in mind as he's getting a lot of accolades right now. Ugh.